Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset. We'll talk about crypto and XRP as well. So World Economic Forum calls on world governments to advance cashless societies. The World Economic Forum has called on governments around the globe to begin ushering plans to eliminate physical cash and roll out digital money. The World Economic Forum published a new report on central bank digital currencies to coincide with its summer Davos event in communist China this week. In its report, the World Economic Forum praises CBDCs, calls for public-private partnerships on digital cash, and urges governments to begin advancing cashless societies. So it looks like after this event wraps up, we'll probably see more headlines all around the globe trying to push more towards cashless society. Because every time these people meet, all of a sudden you start seeing the newspapers talking about it. They'll start pushing the cashless society agenda even more. But how do we get there? Through CBDCs. What's going to control CBDCs? Blockchain and cryptocurrencies as well. The World Economic Forum has a new report on CBDC interoperability. It highlights CBDCs around the world in LAC, APAC, MENA, EU, and North America. Here's 4 key takeaways. Standardized interoperable APIs. Global interoperability standards. SSB's development role. Identification and authentication. Now, when they talk about identification, they're talking about a digital ID. In the future, they want you to have that, and it'll be tied to your health records. It'll be tied to your work history. If you want to access the internet, you're going to need a digital ID. Your whole life is going to be tied to it, and they're going to control you through it in the future. Later, a social credit score will happen. World Economic Forum elites admit potential for darker world where CBDCs could be government controlled. Now take a listen to this.
The one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like, say, ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC, and I think also extremely dangerous for central banks. Because ultimately, if you have different units of central bank money with different characteristics, or if you use central bank money as a conduit for economic policies in a very targeted way, or more broadly for social policies, that could really affect the integrity of central bank money and the integrity and independence of central banks. So there are wonderful notions of things that can be done with digital money, but again, I fear that technology could take us to a better place, but equally has the potential to take us to a pretty dark place.
So they don't want us buying things in the future, certain things. So when you go to buy it, the central bank says, nope, not going to happen, and the transaction doesn't go through. Now, lately, I've seen some blockchain CEOs like Gilbert Verdian. He talks about the central bank not caring whether or not you buy a ham sandwich. And I see Lehman Baird over there at Hedera saying things around CBDCs also, trying to make it seem like that's not what this is going to be used for. I'm not sold on that idea. When you see somebody like this at the World Economic Forum talking about programmable money, money that expires after a certain period of time, it's about us being poor and them keeping all their money. And that's what they're going to use it for in the future. Like I always told you, central bank digital currencies, they sound like a great idea. And the technology is absolutely incredible in the right hands. In the wrong hands, all of a sudden, me and you become slaves. Political interference again from the World Economic Forum king in tandem with Sadiq Khan. Take a listen to this.
3, 2, 1.
King Charles helped turn on a climate clock at a summit in London this afternoon. It triggers 150 similar clocks across the major cities of the UK, counting down the seconds to 2030. The estimated deadline for limiting climate change to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial.
That is not a climate change clock. That's a great reset clock. And that's how long we have to stop the World Economic Forum. Because I don't understand how hard it is for them to release a central bank digital currency, but still have cash. Give people an alternative. Maybe they don't want to live under your system. Maybe they don't want to utilize that system at all. And I look at it like this. If you enrich yourself, why should you have to use a CBDC? You have money. You could do whatever you want to do with that money. But if they have their way, again, they will take everything from you. That's why I always said, we're going to cash out our XRP at some point. A lot of people will. I don't think we're ever going to cash out into US dollars. I think by the time XRP really hits its potential, the US dollar will be so down in value because they're trying to crash it down at the same time. They want to crash this current financial system and bring in a new one. That's why gold will always be the best option, because gold is going to be with us forever. And if it requires you to have to be tied to a CBDC system and to utilize your XRP in the future, why would anybody want that? I mean, I think that maybe we go back to the system, and I'm speculating here, is that we use our XRP and we loan it out to central banks. We collect interest from it. That was always the option. We're in the fourth industrial revolution. It's supposed to be a great time, a time of advancement, a time where people are enriching themselves through this revolution. Instead, we have an entity like the World Economic Forum crushing this revolution at the same time. It seems like it's great for them and horrible for the rest of us. And I don't like the idea of it at all. So public must consume human waste to fight climate change. The World Economic Forum is urging governments around the globe to begin recycling human waste for public consumption to fight climate change. The plan involves diverting human feces and urine captured from sewage back into the food supply. The effort is being promoted to tackle global warming by reducing the alleged carbon emissions from food production. So are they going to be drinking and eating this? Of course not. But they want me and you to do it in the name of climate change. I am so fed up with this climate change already. It pisses me off. Ordered. No one voted for this. The World Economic Forum has ordered world leaders to implement a new global taxation system designed to fight climate change. Like I said before, climate change is nothing more than another tax on me and you. Macron revealed the plans while speaking at the summit for a new global financing pact in Paris on Friday. His city is falling apart. So I'm in favor of an international taxation to finance efforts that we have to make to fight poverty and in terms of climate action. It doesn't work when you do it alone. The financial flows go elsewhere. The World Economic Forum stooge made the calls while shutting down efforts to implement a new wealth tax to fund the green agenda. And they never want to tax the rich. They want to tax me and you, the working class people. It's such a double standard. Hollywood elites meet to plot injection of World Economic Forum's climate propaganda into movies. Well, let me tell you something. There hasn't been any good movies recently. I think John Wick 4 has been the best movie out so far. And I like Keanu Reeves. He's not tied to that whole Pizzagate either. But they always want to get right in your face with this. So Hollywood elites have been meeting at a secret summit to discuss plans to covertly inject movies and TV shows with the World Economic Forum's climate change propaganda. Some of the entertainment industry's most powerful figures have been meeting in Los Angeles for a 4-day summit. Attendees have been discussing ways to formulate a strategy to secretly inject movies and TV shows with fear-mongering about a so-called climate change crisis. And TV? forget it. There's no good shows anymore. And then this happened. Ukraine, Zelensky meets Greta Thunberg. Again, two actors coming together in the name of climate change. It's absolutely disgusting at this point. So World Economic Forum also recently produced a white paper on blockchain for climate action. The key points are summarized in this post. And again, they need blockchain so they can keep a record of your climate usage or your carbon usage in the future. Another way for them to price you out of your house in the future. You're going to have to make such upgrades to your house, and they're going to be expensive because every house emits carbon. Think about it. That's how they get you to be a renter for the rest of your life. They want you to be renting clothes in the future, renting cars in the future. They don't want you owning anything. And yet people still go about their day not even knowing what's going on in this world. And that's why I make these videos, so I could wake up at least a few more people every time I make one. Because there's so many people still asleep. You know, the worst thing would be waking up and the Great Reset just happened. And, you know, every single government is pushing for this right now. And let's talk about open borders, because that's also part of the World Economic Forum agenda. In France, in 3 days, there were 2,560 fires on public roads, 1,350 vehicles set on fire, 250 buildings and shops set on fire, unspecified numbers of lootings, probably thousands. Multicultural France has fallen. And you know, they're still pushing for open borders here in the U.S. Our southern border's wide open. We have people coming across that border. We have no idea who they are. And this is the end result of that. Again, World Economic Forum agenda. And then there's at least Fox News actually talked about this a little bit. So it actually hit the mainstream media news. But you know, people need to talk about this on a daily basis because there's a lot of people, like I said, they have no clue this is even going on. And when they finally do wake up, it's going to be too late. Everybody's going to be all about that universal basic income until they realize they can't buy the things they want to buy. You know, I even talked to people about that, and they said, what would be so bad about that? I could quit my job. I'll have time to do all the things I want to do. No, you won't, because your digital ID is not going to let you travel, because you won't have enough money to buy carbon offsets to take that trip. Everything in the future is going to require carbon offsets. It's just another tax on me and you. But with that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.